Today we are red flagging it, talking about home inspections. So join us as we red flag some home inspection topics. We were talking about some red flags in home inspections. We actually went through and covered some of the things that we anticipate and believe are red flags in the whole home inspection process. Just for a disclaimer, if you want a description of what a home inspection is, jump over to the video that should be kind of right up here somewhere so that you can see what is covered in a home inspection and some of the other previous red flags. You will also see them on our channel, but we're trying to get Nelson over on the same page with us. And so we want to talk about some of the additional red flag issues when it comes even to some of the plumbing stuff. So
This is my favorite. If y'all don't mind, I'd love to take this because I love talking about shit.
oh, well, hold on. So let's back up and let's finish some of the plumbing stuff that we were talking about on our last video. And we were talking about some of the high water pressure issues and how they have some of those pressure reducing valves that can really help. That is, they're done what, curb level? Is that right, Carrie?
That's correct. Yeah, right between the meter and the
And
house, closer to
and
the
they
house.
last what, 10 years or so?
Yep, should last 10 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So all across Texas, we have different qualities of water. And I'm really particular. Luke Casey is really particular about the water she drinks. We like spring water, but we've got houses that, we have water softeners because it's got some really heavy sediment buildup that happens in the minerals. So they have sodium tablets, they have potassium tablets that you can get for that traditional water softener, but they also have different types of citric and electromagnetic machines that will help break down some of the minerals. But in some areas of Texas, there's some sulfur that's some nasty ass shit smelling water. So be very, very careful. Sometimes you have to really go through some major filtration stuff. And so we want to make sure that everybody knows that. We wanted to finish up some of the plumbing stuff, but Nelson is our let's let's kind of do it. He is our on-air shitologist. And he is really good with all things septic and shit. So we're going to call Nelson the shit today. And we're, as we jump into some of these septic systems, because hey, whether it doesn't matter whether you're in town, out of town, rural or city, septic systems are all around, right?
Septic systems, you run into them everywhere. I mean, they can be anywhere from a community to out in the middle of nowhere. You just want to make sure that you have the right septic system for who's living there. Because if you are buying a home that had only, a couple living there and you're getting a family of five on a septic system, that's going to be a pretty shitty mess. Wherever that septic system is, right? It could be
Yeah.
really bad.
And if you've got a well, you want to make sure that well is pretty far away from the shit.
Oh, definitely. That's another thing. I know, Robbie, I remember going to class with you. You talked a lot about septic systems with us. And I remember the story you told me, and it was something similar to that, right? About the family moving in and they weren't aware of the
The
old
amount of
septic.
E. coli that was in the water because the well was put too close to the septic line. And that was in North Texas, and there's a whole neighborhood in there that they've done, um, they weren't coordinated in the spots for the well and they in the septic, and it got a little shitty there. And a lot of the homes, they were, couldn't drink the water, so wasn't really a great situation.
Yeah. There's
But run us through, Nelson, some of the types of the septic systems out there, because I'm not, there's some that I like and some that I don't like.
So the main ones that you're gonna find are always gonna be the conventional, which are like passive systems that are mainly in drain fields, right? With drain fields there, sorry. And then you have some that are chambered systems with leach fields, right? There's each different, they have their own positives and I guess cons, you can say. You have low pressured and evaporating systems, which I have never really run into many. Have you guys ran into any of those?
Those, yeah, I have run into those where they just kind of pumps into a tank and it just kind of runs out too.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's gonna be
That's a whole lot better than the next one that I think one you're going to talk about.
the wastewater.
With both feet. Oh, it's so gross, especially if you get hit with this.
The aerobic wastewater systems, is that the one you're
Those
talking?
aerobic
Yeah,
wet
the aerobic.
systems. Oh yeah.
Yep. Those
They
are
Those are so nasty. You have to have those in a maintenance system. We've got a house in San Antonio. They don't really have a maintenance system next door. And when that thing starts shooting, it stinks to
Yes.
high heaven.
Yeah, it's gross.
Yeah.
Those are I remember it back in California, a lot of some of the older communities would have those, and you could just smell it driving by down the main road, and you can, like, kinda just bleh, it's just disgusting.
Yeah, because if they aren't maintained right, that water stinks, and if you've got a
Piece of
Jeep and you
shit.
leave those doors off and it gets a little overspray, you are dealing with some bad shit right there.
Yeah,
That
it's
is
just
Right.
years and years of stuff that go on. I mean, it's just disgusting and from different genetic gene pools, right? Like, hey, someone might have some stinky poop, someone might not. And it's really bad.
right.
Right. That concoction that it makes over time. You need to maintain all of these systems, right?
And it depends on how much Red X you put down there and, how much because you were saying, a smaller, let's say a 1,500 gallon septic tank, if you move a family of 5 into that, you're gonna have to be pumping a lot of stuff out of there because that 1,500 gallon tank is
And
not going to cover it.
yeah, you have to understand you always have guests. Those 5 people are generally going to be inviting guests more often than you usually did, right? A two family of 2 is probably going to invite 1 or 2 other people, which can be fine because it's, not a daily thing. It's a weekend thing, maybe a monthly thing. But then now you got a family of 5, you got kids who their friends are coming over, their best friends are there, your neighborhoods are there. That's going to be a problem. And you're going to have to be as just disgusting. Because I remember cleaning one and I still see the vivid. It was
Oh,
it's just that. Like, my cousin invited me. He was doing them for a while, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll join you. I've never done them before, so why not? Let's give it a try." I regretted it instantly the moment I was there. Just like, "Nah, never again, bro. Sorry,
never again is
never,
right.
never gonna
You know,
clean. I'm
septic
sorry.
tank
There's some things we do in real estate where we'll go the extra mile for our clients, but this is one thing that I probably won't go do and is clean your septic tank. I'm sorry, but that's where I draw the line.
but it is something that you definitely want to have inspected by a septic company where they can come in and inspect the septic tank and the system. And they're going to want to look at the papers if you've got some kind of a maintenance situation. But if you have a traditional or conventional tank, whether it is chambered or low pressure or whatever, they're going to have to drain it. So a lot of times it's a really good idea. Pay attention here, people. If you have a buyer's agent who is really working for you, to have the sellers pay for the pumping. So they're paying for their own shit when your buyers pay to have it inspected. And that's really something that I make sure that we do in our office is cover those buyers so they know that a septic inspector cannot inspect any kind of septic tank with it having any fluid in it. So even if you flush it once, they're going to have to suck all that out because they've got to really check the inside and everything like that. That is something you want to do. And if you're looking at homes, you're going to see them notated by an on-site sewer facility disclosure here in Texas. And that it really is designed to notify buyers of their presence. And please understand that some counties in Texas require you to register them as a new owner of the property. I know that all around the Lower Colorado River Authority, some of the Highland Lakes areas, you have to actually register your septic system as a new owner of the property, even though it was registered by the previous people. So be very careful. You want to make sure that you understand that. And if you need to have a maintenance program, like on those aerobic,
Every year.
please keep it up going.
Yeah,
You could be on for that.
yeah, generally you want to do it roughly every 3 to 5 years, I believe it is, when a complete clean out of that septic system because over time it's just, I mean, it builds up. You got to understand. I don't even think I can tell you how many times I flush the toilet in a day. I just honestly I can't. It's probably past 20, maybe. I don't know. I drink a lot of water, so but you multiply that by a family of 5 or 7, it's a lot of stuff. So you want to maintain and keep it up to date because that can be problematic too. Make
And careful what you're flushing because, granted, if it comes out of your body, okay, that's one thing, but be careful about the toilet paper and those wipes that,
Mhm.
buy, whether it's a cleaning wipe or for your body cleaning, make sure that it is septic okay,
Yeah.
because that can create a whole nother nightmare of all of these wipes creating this big old wad that they have to go in and cut out before they
Mhm.
get clean. Oh,
Have y'all ever walked on some mushy septic? I
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
It was the other day, actually. It was 2 weeks ago. I was showing the house and I knew there was a septic tank, so I wanted to go back where it was at. So I wanted to walk it to make sure because it hadn't been cleaned either. They didn't put in the seller's disclosure that they have cleaned it or at least, emptied it out. So I wanted to go back there to see if there's any damage. And it was raining that day. So I thought what I was walking on was just, muddy water from the rain. But as I leave the premises and I get back towards my car and I look at my shoes and I smell, and it's just, yeah, it was not rainwater.
oh,
I burned your pair of shoes.
Oh yeah, they were tossed and burned. Yeah, but that's something you should know, and like your agent should definitely be going at least. I'm not a septic pro. I just knew where it was at because it was disclosed, and I wanted to go check to see if I could smell anything. Or my nose don't lie; I can smell anything. So I didn't smell it
curious
at the moment,
sure.
but when I walked back and walked to the car, that's where I felt, yeah, that's not normal, scent that should be coming out from that ground.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Mm,
That's the extra mile I was talking about. I just won't go in it. But it's just never.
right. So there are a lot of septic systems across the state of Texas, no matter where you are and what kind of rock is in the ground is really going to dictate probably whether you're going to have some septic or some sewer lines or have septic systems. So be very, very careful about that. But you're going to also want to have your water tested because we want to make sure that there's no E. coli or anything. But Carrie, talk to us a little bit about water wells because although I love me some well water, I wanna make sure that it's been verified that it's clean because that can be, not a good taste.
Yeah, that's important. And if you're buying a property with a well, you definitely want to make sure that you have that well inspected. That's going to be a specialty inspection and it's going to be worth every single penny of it to make sure that your water is going to be good when you move into that home. Some of the things they're going to want to test during that inspection are the output levels of the water. So, are you actually getting enough water coming through that well? They're also going to test the quality of the water, look for inorganic contaminants, things like nitrates, any other various kinds of contaminants.
Cola.
Yeah, E. coli. Yeah,
So
anything else that can get in your water and make it unpleasant or, unsafe to drink, they're going to want to test for that.
pesticides.
Pesticides, yeah, all kinds of things can get into a water well.
Yeah. Like in the Midland area, it is not uncommon to have multiple wells on one piece of property, whether it is, a small, a large lot, maybe half of an acre. You may have it because have several because there's going to be the whole water production that these wells are making. And you don't actually know the full production that it's going to kick out until that well has been drilled. And they
Mhm.
do have some new sonar technology that can help, show, where the best place to drill a well and stuff is, but that is some new technology, and it is not necessarily, was used on a lot of the old wells that are existing. But I know in the Midland area, there are a lot of different pieces of property that have multiple wells, and, they can do that through the hill country into San Antonio and stuff like that, Austin and Central Texas. So it just depends on the area that you're in and how, deep the water is, those water tables. But we also so we've got plumbing issues, we've got roof, we've got water good and water bad, whether it's, some water coming in from flooding or, damaging the property, but even drinking water can be a red flag. Nelson, talk to us a little bit about some of those, yes, bug pests red
Yeah.
flags,
I
because those are the big red flags for me.
Well, termites are a big, thing, wood, any type of wood damaging insect
Mm,
because as,
carpenter ant.
yeah, carpenter ants are huge, especially here in Texas. But I don't think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe a lender would really lend you any money if there's an infestation going on, right? They would actually need verification that it's being treated or that they're terminated because those bad boys can wreak havoc in a matter of seconds. Like you turn your eye for a day or two and they've gone to another location and they're just chip, 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 like going at it real fast. I know mulch is a big thing for, curb appeal here in anywhere. Yeah, you want to have that beautiful curb appeal, and mulch actually is can be sometimes an invitation to these kind of pests. And one thing that I always see and I always notice is sometimes when the mulch is too close, the level of the foundation line where it's at, usually it takes about 8 inches, I believe, is the lower line that you would go. And it takes about 3 inches for any other pest to climb up the vertical part to the foundation. So I would recommend if you do put mulch and you want to keep those bugs out of your house, make sure that it's at least 8 inches or more of a difference because you're just inviting those creatures and those insects to your foundation where they can just, go anywhere where there might be some wood and they can cause damage.
Yeah, a lot of lenders don't require those termite letters anymore. That used to be a standard for FHA, any kind of government loans, and they're not really doing that anymore. But if they get tipped off with the appraisal and the appraiser, they're going to kind of go, there's some issues here. But you wouldn't want that, and that should be something that it's not a bad thing to have tested for during a home inspection. I always ask my clients, you want that? Because it's not a bad thing.
Yeah. I love seeing those homes that have the pests. What are they called? The connectors spaced out throughout the house where they just connect the what are they called? It's off the top of my head. I can't think of it. You know what I'm talking about? Where it's like got a little cap and they just connect the hose and then the pesticide just sprays throughout the house wherever those pipes are to avoid these kind of damage. What not leaf bulbs or something like that. But I love seeing those because those are just easy. It's like, okay, now I know that I can get my house, under pest control quite easily because it's already here preemptively from the previous owners or from the builders. It's a perk to have, and I like it. This house has it here, so I was quite thankful for it, especially since my wife bakes from home. So it's like always good to have those bugs under control, especially.
Absolutely. I love that Spectracide, and, I think Bayer makes those it's termite granulars or granulars.
Yeah.
So this is the time of year. April was really the month to be spreading that stuff out because May is when those termites start swarming in Texas, and it's a good idea just to kinda get everything under control, and
Yep.
whether you call Terminex or not, it's not hard to buy something at the Home Depot or the Lowe's and, throw something out to prevent it. Doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Unless you're carrying, like a lot of insecticides around your house.
No.
I
Which
like termites less.
yeah, yes, that's right, hey,
Have you ever all like ripped out like a piece of bark or a wood or some sort and you see termites, like how heavy and dense it is in like a quarter inch?
Yeah.
It's not a quarter inch, in a square inch, how many there can be.
oh, yeah, they're all over you.
Gross.
They spread and they replicate so fast. It's just like, nope, there's more eggs there, there's larvae, and then there's continue to be a bunch of termites the next little inch you're over. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, especially on the country when you see that, a tree is falling over and there's just starting to disintegrate and stuff.
Mhm.
Because that tree is like, "Oh, damn, I'm really strong. I'm moving this tree out of the way." You
No.
kinda feel its paperweight. It made me feel good that I could move that log, but I just didn't realize it had already been eaten.
But I'd prefer to not really be outside that much, right? I love to do my inspection. I love seeing the stuff inside the home, right? There's a lot of cues that you can see, right? I remember the other day when we were looking outside, because now that it's spring, well, I guess it is spring, you're doing more yard maintenance and a lot of, especially when the winds are coming by, you can see from, the second story, you can see the trees that the branches are like you were just saying, they're paperweight. Okay, that to me can be problematic. There might be some termites in there and it doesn't take a gust of wind to just blow them and they land on top of your ceiling or wherever, right? That's why you want to keep also those trees kind of like trimmed away. They invite squirrels up to your attic, to your roof and all of that, but sometimes those bugs can get up through there. I remember I had a guest staying at my house and a scorpion stung him on the chest. And we were like, how did the scorpion get to the second story of the house? But it was because the scorpion was it was a tree scorpion and they were on the tree and they just landed on top of our roof. And they climb and they were there. And next thing I hear is someone screaming and I hear a big old swat and something fall on the floor, like a big weight. And it's because they killed the scorpion. That's why it's very important to trim those trees like near the borderline of your ceiling of your roof upstairs, because it's just inviting to all sorts of insects, creatures, animals. And you kind of don't want that because all it takes is a gust of wind to, rip that bark off and that bark land on top of your roof. And there go those termites, right? Where are they going to go?
I stepped on a baby one last night.
Yes. Baby scorpions. Creepy.
Not good, not good. So, Carrie, keep us cool in the summer and warm in the winter. let's talk about some red flags with the HVAC units or heating and, air conditioning.
Yeah, so HVAC, such a big deal here in Texas because, as y'all know, we have both really hot and really cold weather. So you need to have a really good working AC as well as a really good working heater or furnace. The HVAC systems are going to be that AC, the furnace, as well as all the duct work going through the home. That's another really important thing to have inspected. You want to make sure that you don't have any issues with the ducts, because if those ducts are not strong, your cooled or heated air can escape, and you can also have dust coming into the ducts from attics and crawl spaces, and then that can in turn get into the air. And that can lead to really poor air quality inside the house. It can lead to issues with mold, all kinds of things like that.
Yeah, allergens and stuff like that.
Yeah.
One of the coolest things that we've had done in our return air vent is they will put and Nelson, you're gonna love this. They put oh crap, what kind of light was it? Ultraviolet light
Oh,
in the
cool.
air duct. So every time the air came on, the light came on. And so it was sanitizing the air as it was coming in. So it kills viruses and stuff. Same stuff they use in hospitals you can get very easily with the HVAC person. Just put in that light and boom, it
Yep.
starts killing that.
Wow.
It is so worth it.
It is. I mean, I've seen those used many times, especially in airplanes or on the airports. They kind of use those UV lights to kill bacteria and germs. One thing that you're talking about HVAC is also there's other things that can be problematic in that in the sense that you have these smart systems on vent returns and things like that. Which, for example, if it's just me living in a 2-story house, I don't want my other 3 bedrooms and upstairs being hit with air. So these systems, they're connected to the HVAC, and sometimes there's some electrical problems in there that can cause interference with the readings to close these vents if there's no one's there. So that's always, to me, that's because I looked at looking at that from my parents' home so that they don't have to spend so much on these heating or these ACs. Those are very expensive systems. And that to me would be, in my opinion, would be a red flag too, because if one side of the house works, but not the other, that's a big issue because who's gonna fix that? I don't know anything about it. That's an expense because I know how much it costs to install them. How much would it be to repair them?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a really good point.
Those little smart system. I mean, they're really cool. Actually, honestly, I kind of want some because yeah, why do you need to keep cool the entire house when you're just mainly on, two rooms of the home, right? Shut off every other vent and keep that air blowing perfectly into one spot, especially in the 110-degree weather where
Right. We have to do everything we can,
yeah, it's gonna get bad here in a couple more 2 more weeks,
I
maybe?
mean, how long? We've already had what, 2 days at 100 degrees? This is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
That's which is
We don't
yeah.
usually have that till July.
Yeah, it's looking bad. I decided
It's
to
going to
keep
be a hot summer.
yeah,
As someone who's been here for a long time, everything I'm seeing right now is leading to a
signs.
pretty hot summer.
Get those side we should I go get a pool or get a slip and
Yes.
slide in the
Yeah.
backyard?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna go get Carrie a blow up pool so that we can just go over to her house too. We're just gonna make a pool party, just thank God.
Hey, there's plenty of space in my backyard.
Oh, yeah.
I know. And then we can have drinking games and stuff like that when the train comes by. So
Perfect.
we've talked about foundation issues. We've talked about roof issues, dealing with, on both aspects, dealing with water and water damage, not enough water around the foundation or too much water, not having roof issues or deferred maintenance fixed. We've talked about electrical issues and in that whole in Nelson in the first part took us about the grading of the home and too much water coming towards the foundation. We've jumped in and we've talked about plumbing in the shit systems of the septic world. And we talked about wells and stuff. So a lot of these things, whether it's termite or HVAC, all of these things could have items that needed to be repaired that a seller would need to address some repairs during the contract and to be completed before the final walkthrough and before closing. And all of these items would depend on you, the individual buyer, on which items were deal breakers. What are the things that you would really want to have fixed that would keep you from moving forward with the purchase? That's the whole thing, is to educate yourself with a home inspection. What are the things that you want to fix? What are the things you just need to know about? What are the things you want to watch? And what are the things you want to fix? Because every buyer is going to be different and every home is going to be different. So there are no blanket statements that we can make. There's no blanket documents that say you need to have this fixed, and this fixed. We can tell you that it all depends on the story of the home and the story of the buyer as they become one. But when we do have those repairs made, they need to be done by someone in specific. And Carrie, run us through who needs to be making those repairs.
And this is all contained within the contract that we use in Texas. The repair has to be made by a licensed repair person, or if it's an industry that doesn't require a license, it has to be someone who's commercially engaged in the practice of making those repairs. In other words, it has to be a licensed professional or a professional, depending on the situation.
Now, Nelson, with what Carrie's just said, does that still mean that your sellers can't make any repairs if they wanted to?
Yeah, they can make the repairs, but only if it's been agreed by both parties prior to the repairs being made and documented, right? Because then if they just go ahead and do it, are you licensed? Are you not, right? Did you do it secretly? All that kind of stuff. But the contract would have to be documented, and then there would have to be also possibly an amendment, correct? So
Yeah. Just
there
as
is
long as those repairs were made after the parties agreed that the seller could actually, or the seller's handman could fix those. Yeah, absolutely.
because you have sellers who are probably mastered plumbers, right? Certified mastered plumbers or electricians, so they can save themselves there in doing the project, but it needs to be agreed upon, right? Because
Yeah.
it's not something that I would recommend myself, or I don't trust myself in doing it because I'm not a master electrician.
But one of the things, but hey, you can run some of those Cat 5 and Cat 10, Cat whatever wires, I feel like I don't even know, meow. But you can, need to know all the things that need to be negotiated. And all those repairs have to be negotiated before your option period expires. And that's one of the main things that people really need to understand is you purchase an option period in Texas and you have an in-home inspection. And during that option period, that gives you the unequivocal right to get out for any reason. So if you don't like something on the inspection report, you can get out. If the seller refuses to negotiate with you to the degree that you wish to be negotiated on any of those repairs, you can get out. So all of those things have to be taken care of during the option period and before it expires. Because once it expires, you're kind of stuck in the contract unless you've got a really brilliant agent who can help negotiate you a way out of the contract. And we have to sometimes pull in a legal team or whatnot to get you out. But at the same time, it's knowing what has to happen during that option period. And can y'all think of any other huge red flags that we haven't covered over this bonus footage or the previous?
Kerry, do you have anything?
Man, we've covered a whole lot of red flags. I don't know if there are any red flags left in the world.
Yeah, I know.
The one that I'm thinking of that because I showed a home on Thursday and there was a tree. Like trees can be problematic sometimes, being too close to the foundation. They can be far, or they can have rot, up in their branches. The tree could fall in any direction. And God forbid that it lands on top of the house, right? If it falls. So there's something that I would also look at, and an arborist would know more about that, whether it has got an infection, a disease, or anything that it can cause problems to your home later.
Absolutely. Carrie, can you think of one more?
I don't have any more.
I mean, it's a pretty exhaustive list. I mean,
Yeah.
we covered a whole lot. But the important thing is you have to look at each house and you can't stick with a set of, I'm sorry, I have to say it. As someone who teaches agents all the time, for someone just to go through and say, "Oh, checklist of this." Every house has its own unique story, and you have to look at all the things within it. A typical, 2,000 square foot tract home versus a 15,000 square foot custom build. There's going to be completely different stories there, and you're going to have to analyze the story. So find yourself an impeccable agent. Let them guide you to find an even a more amazing inspector and move through a purchase of your new property with some amazing skill and finesse by having somebody who is advocating for you in every aspect along the way. Y'all have any parting thoughts? Anything else? I mean, we can't beat a red flag with another red flag, but we certainly don't want somebody to throw up a white flag going, I'm out.
One thing that I advise my buyers to do is to have an inspector on standby before they even make an offer on a house. That way they can get that inspector in on the first day of the option period, get the information and, have time to deal with it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about you, Carrie. You're always setting your buyers up for success even prior to them even finding the house that they want.
That's a big
Yep.
thing because now, especially in market here in Austin, I mean, we're seeing some slowdown or some stabilization, I guess you can say. But still, you're going to find homes that are going to have competing multiple offers. And if you want a contract to look nice and you're able to do and make that contract look nice and they want a short option period, you definitely need to have that inspector on standby because that's how are you going to get them in there on such a short notice, right?
Yeah.
Especially with the
Yeah.
amount of homes being inspected today. So that is great advice to give out. And I hope others that are watching are going to take that into account because that's a big thing.
Do y'all have a day you like during the option period to have inspections done? My day is my favorite day is day one.
Day one, absolutely.
Day one, and it be like you said, it all starts with preemptively, right? So
Yeah.
day zero, honestly, to tell you the truth, because that's you need to be ready for it, whatever's going to come.
Absolutely. Thank you both. This has been amazing. This is good stuff.
I love talking about poo-poo.
Yeah.
I love writing about that. Yeah, the paper thought was.
Y'all know.
I love it too. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I'll
Well,
see you next time, yeah?
yeah, absolutely. Thank you everybody for joining us. And we look forward to having y'all like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. If you want to see more from us, please join in. We're just not the average fluke sending you a real estate video. We actually know what we're talking about.
Thanks, y'all. Cheers.
Yeah. Thanks for being here, y'all. It's been a great discussion.